Unlike other Women's Days, this Women's Day is very special. And the reason it is special, it is because we are working with Afro Ability and we have a powerful theme, Beyond Her Limits. Now, there is a possibility that most times we don't get to see. And today we are talking about many times the challenges that we see and human rights. I want you to stay right there. Join us in this live as we talk and explore the rights of women living with disabilities and the power and the ability they live with, that they can be beyond what we think is their limitation. Welcome. With me on this panel, I have incredible women. And on my left, I have Olive. Olive, please say hello.
Olive Namtevi is my name. Greetings to our viewers. Welcome to the space. I come from Albinism Umbrella and I'm excited to be here.
It's an honor to have you, Olive, here.
Thank you.
It's wonderful. Thank you very much. Then on my right.
Hello everyone, my name is Asimi Mirab, coming from Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus, Uganda. Nice having you here today.
Nice having you, Mirab. It's an honor to have you to represent the many. Thank you very much. And thank you for using your voice to stand for the many that are voiceless. Yes, please.
Thank you so much. Namutevi Bena Namatoko is my name. I am a gender and disability inclusion expert, and I'm glad to be on this platform.
Thank you very much. From the lens of mental health, and before we talk about the barriers that women face, let us talk about their inner struggles. Sometimes, or most times, the struggles we see are not physical. They are silent and they are facing stigma, a lot of stigma. They have to stand in an environment with systems and work with systems that were not created with them in mind. But today, before we go there, I want us to start from the rights specialist. What are the struggles that these women face? What can we do for them? What can you tell our listener today? Someone who is watching us today, what can you tell them? Are there really rights? Are they really put in order? Are they really put in practice?
Thank you so much. As we celebrate this Women's Day, and with our theme, Beyond Our Limits, there are some limitations that still prevail, that limit women with disabilities from achieving their objective, from living a dignified life. As we speak now, in 2026 rather, it is important to understand that the limitation stretch through the social, economic, and political life. And while these challenges have been prevalent, you realize that they still manifest in subtle and different ways. The manifestation starts with exclusion from education, where young girls are not able to access education. This stretches from the system itself. Schools have no interest of enrolling them. The schools that have accepted to take them on do not have the necessary facilities and resources to support them. The teachers are not well equipped in managing some of the disabilities. The sanitary facilities are inaccessible. When you look at our classrooms, some of them are storage buildings where if one has a physical disability, like they need a wheelchair, someone has to climb the stairs, which is not accessible. When it comes to those with sight challenges, we have no brailles. The teachers are not conversant with how to support children with sight issues. And those with hard of hearing are still challenged with the fact that sign language is still not well extended to schools, and teachers do not have the skills to do that. On the economic bit of it, women with disabilities have challenges. They don't have property, but we are mothers. We carry the burden of care. And at the end of the day, when we carry the burden of care, it remains upon us to ensure that the children we have are well facilitated. One will ask why we have children. We are human in the first place. Secondly, children are our support system in times when we don't have our family members who will not stay with us all through. So our children are also affected, that they have challenges of having limited access to resources. Those who have managed to go to school have challenges with employment because the employment spaces do not have the required facilities to support our employment terms. On the other hand, those interested in doing entrepreneurial work like businesses, the financial institutions do not trust us because we don't have money and you don't have resources. We don't have security for their loans. When it comes to the communities where we stay, we are branded. No one believes that a woman with disability can be as useful as any other woman.
And we want to keep them behind the curtain.
That's right. When it comes to those who have managed to go through, they are challenged with community not believing in them. And when it comes to the usual support system, for instance, when it comes to the road network, to the places where we stay, recently we had most of the places in Kampala are under construction, the roads. But whenever they are providing that accessibility, it's only cars that are considered, but then persons with disabilities have no access to their places. Okay. Then gender-based violence is still affecting women. Intimate partner violence, and then it brings about mental health issues. It brings about depression, and then it also gets to the physical bit of it, where women are really battered physically, they are denied resources, and then they are abandoned with children.
These partners think that these guys can't support themselves, they can't defend themselves. Does it stem from that?
Maybe one myth that you need to understand is that most of the women with disabilities get partners out of men's adventure. They have a perception that when you get intimate with a person with disability, you will get over the curses. They want to explore whether it's true that when you have intimate relationships with a person with disability, you'll get over your curses.
So that means they don't come for the right reason. They always come for this foundation.
And then they do not want to associate with the fact that they are the ones fathering children with a person with disability. That's why you find most of the women with disabilities are single parents. And then when we go to the facilities, the health facilities do not have the required resources.
Sure. Truly, that's very beautiful, Bena. And I want to applaud you for what you just said, because it really singles out most of our challenges, you know? And for me, I feel like it's quite a very important topic that you talk about it now. I think this is the most opportune time for us to discuss this and what the possibilities of her beyond her limits, or what people perceive that those are her limits. Mm-hmm. To you, as an administrator, how have you been able to serve? How has your journey shaped the way you serve others living with disabilities?
Thank you so much, Madam Moderator. My journey has really greatly shaped how I serve persons with disabilities. Being a young girl with a disability who has navigated through society and education that is full of stigma and expecting a few expectations from persons with disabilities, that what will they achieve in future. It has shaped me to serve persons with disabilities with a lot of empathy and understanding which struggles do persons with disabilities go through to get where they are. As I serve, or where I serve, it is an organization for persons with disabilities. So when they come, I really understand what they go through, and I know how to answer them because I'm the real person who has gone through the same journey they are going through currently. Yes. And then my journey every day, it reminds me every day that young women with disabilities, they have to be in spaces that will challenge the perception and the stereotypes that people have against them. Me serving as assistant administrator, it gives me a platform of advocating for them. So it gives me that perception that every girl with a disability should be in a space, they should be leaders, they should be educated, they should participate in the community so that they can challenge those stereotypes that people have against them. Yes, please.
Wow, that's quite beautiful. And one of the things that I appreciate mostly is visibility. Mhm. When we talk about these things, yes, we iron out the myths, the misconceptions. We debunk all those confusion, the confusion that has been around the whole topic. You know, women living with disabilities, what can they do? When we talk about this, when people like you come out and show the society, the community, what you have been able to do, what you have achieved, how you're still, you know, showing up regardless of where you are and with the challenges you have faced, it speaks volumes to someone watching. And this takes me to Miss Ole. Yes, man. Women living with albinism, there's always that gender, this discrimination. How have you dealt with it? How have you lived with it? What can you tell a young girl with a similar challenge? Yes.
Thank you so much, Maya. And it's an honor listening in and seeing my fellow panelists, develop deeper into this conversation. So as a woman, as a leader with albinism and, growing up in this beautiful country of ours, the challenges they've said, I face all of them. Looking at a young girl out there as we are into the space of celebrating the International Women's Day, we are looking at a very beautiful theme, and I love what Afro Ability did, beyond her limits, meaning we already know that the limits are there. A woman should be this, should stop here. All those that society has debunked for us. So, one, as a young person, look at yourself as a human being with possibilities. I've lived to know that what I have on the inside is what I give out. If I have pity, self-stigma, I've taken in all that society gives me, then looking at Bana would be first-hand self-discrimination and say, oh, Sumaya doesn't like me. Guess what? When those voices are within me, I'll definitely give up that. And discrimination starts with me. Self-stigma.
Yes.
So one of the things I tell people out there is, Albinism Umbrella looks at different disabilities with a bias to albinism. We show up, we are different. Your parents are dark, they are confused. Are you a Mzungu? Are you just your existence brings questions. So for us, it's a real, there is a double stigma. You're a woman, you have a disability, but we all come from families. And how sad for a girl with albinism whose families refusing to even accept them. Because for us, when you show up and you're different from your parents, society, the parents. So for me, first of all, calling on families to accept people with albinism. Two, as a woman today, speak up. Honestly, the spaces are there. So as a leader, one of the roles that I have, if I've opened certain doors, may it be wide enough for other girls to come through. May you stand and feel that you are able beyond the limits that society had put on you. There are some few examples that we can look at. Consider yourself, I'm a woman, I am able, the skin color won't change. Science is not going to change the skin color. So what you can't change, live with it, look for the best.
Wow. Wow. That's truly important. For me, what this conversation strikes is the stigma that we have to break at different levels. So there's stigma in the mind. Like she said, it always starts with your mind because you've had someone say it or because you already have your own limiting beliefs as a person. So you have their levels. There's a level of the mind that you have to beat as a person. Then there's a level of the family that you have to beat and try to fit in. Then there's a level of the community itself where you go to work, where you study. And then there's the limit of the systems that have been put in place, the policies that have been put in place without you in mind. And you just have to fit in. Yeah. So for me, it leaves one question with this theme of breaking barriers and looking at the future. What does the future really look like for inclusion? Is it really something that is possible? What does it really look like? Or what does the inclusion of women living with disabilities really look like?
Thank you so much. An inclusive future for a woman with disability or for women with disability is already existent, but in a subtle way. Government has put in place policies to enforce equal treatment for all people, regardless of your gender, regardless of your ability. And this is the first step to realizing inclusion amongst women with disabilities. So when the policies are enforced, that will be very, very strong, and it will be the basis for all the inclusion activities or realizing inclusion of persons with disabilities. Secondly, the education system needs to be inclusive. I am happy that we have this new curriculum. The new curriculum is being implemented and promoting skilling of people within the school system without waiting for children to go for vocational training. So that school system needs to be mindful of the inclusivity, that if one of the students or the students with disabilities are available in school, what are the available resources to support, or what are the required resources to support? I'm happy that UNEP has a provision of considering some of the students with disabilities. They give them extra time. Sometimes when they need some support, it's provided for as long as they know how to use the tools, especially the Braille. So if UNEP embraced that, that means all the other institutions can go and ahead and embrace them. In the education sector still, when we talk about skilling, there are many skilling opportunities. And among the skilling opportunities, we have digital skilling. It's important that women, girls, and female youth with disabilities are prioritized in the digital space. Reason is we are living in a digital world. Everything has become digital. Money is digital. Everything is digital. Even applying for a visa, applying for a national ID is digitalized. Yes. So if all persons with disabilities, especially women, are given the opportunity, remember we are the ones who have children. We are supposed to fill in the digital online, applications. So when you are given that opportunity to learn, it will embrace inclusion. The other thing is about representation and visibility. We realize that most of the development programs count numbers of presence. They women with disabilities to participate, but they don't participate meaningfully. What do I mean? When they are there, they're just brought on board, but their contributions are never Yes, and never prioritized. So if this is considered, it will be helpful for all the institutions to take in ideas and also be able to adjust accordingly. And as we conclude, it's also important that when all the budgets are being put down, there is a provision for disability inclusion. And this is important because even when we want to be included without resources, we will not have it.
So one thing that your input tells me is the government is already aware. They've already put up systems that support women living with disabilities and other people living with disabilities. But my question is now, as a social worker, Vera, as a social worker, what you have done, we do a lot of community-based interventions and systems. There are systems that have been put up that bridge services to the community itself. As a community worker, have you done anything that is going to help a woman living with disability move beyond, because we are talking about beyond her limits.
Yeah.
Are there systems that you have put up? Is there support that you have laid to help the woman living with disabilities to move beyond?
Yes, please. Thank you, moderator, for that question. Talking about my profession being a social worker and working with the community. As social workers, our role in the community is providing psychosocial support and counseling. And working with the community, I support girls with disabilities with psychosocial support. These girls, when they are growing up, they are always discouraged that they cannot achieve anything in their future. So with this psychosocial support, I help the girls to identify their potentials and also build their self-esteem, that whatever is being told to them that they are not achieving anything, it can be changed and they can do anything and everything in future because they have all the potentials like any other person in the community. As long as there is accessibility, they are given a platform to serve. And then including the community, as we are encouraging these girls to grow up, I include the community, the parents, and other leaders to make these girls participate in decision making in the community, participate in leadership, and participate in all the decision making in the community. And this gives the community the whole perception of these people unable. They are not unable like we think. So when they're including them in all those decision making and these girls are making a big impact, they change the stereotype and all the perceptions, the bad perceptions they had about them. Yes, please.
Wow, that's very beautiful. It already shows me that you are already hands-on, and that is amazing. I think it should be a hope for someone out there that thinks that already had written themselves off, thinking there is no future for them, there is no way out. We are talking about beyond her limits. If you think that your disability is your limit, welcome, because this is the best conversation that is going to help you move forward and further. Thank you. We want to applaud Afroability for such a wonderful put, because if it were not, there is someone that actually needed this conversation to move forward, and we can't really thank you enough. This moves me to what I want to connect what you talked about, the technology. Yeah. There is social media is the if in thing now. We want to see you as the leader in the albinism umbrella. What does breaking the stigma mean to you? And how are you going to change? How are we going to change the narrative around albinism using social media? How can we do this? What changes can we do?
Thank you so much, and rightly so. Media is everything, especially when we are talking about changing a narrative. Media has a lot of strength. They hold a narrative that shape our culture, our beliefs. So we cannot do anything without the media. What do we need to do? Let media houses, instead of looking at people with albinism as, victims, we are empowered, we have human rights who can support systems, Instead of looking at a storyline, can we look at the strength that has come through? Because, and I love TV because it is visual, you can see the judgments, the prejudices that come, the myths. Instead of having debates about the myths, do people with albinism actually disappear? Bring Olive and say she's here, she's never disappeared.
Yeah.
Can we flip the narrative and say, wait a minute, she's not disappeared. So debunking the myths, looking at it in a positive way is one straight thing that will help us move from the many cultural beliefs. And I've been around this country quite a lot. And I know we did a research with the UN Human Rights before they helped. Looking at the 52 tribes in this country, they have a myth about albinism. When on earth are we going to go to the 52 cultural leaders? Chile, if they exist anymore. Here we are, we have a media house, we have social media, we have whichever media, it's an information overload. And then we should also choose how we package this information. So for me, the change of the narrative, first of all, begins with me as a person with albinism. How do I carry myself? What have I believed? Because changing a narrative may take me 5 or so many years.
Many years,
truly a culture. But what do I believe about myself? I have one of my people in the community who believe that she would disappear. Growing up with a grandmother, and she used to pray in a little way. I pray that I don't disappear in the night, or when it's raining, or I don't go in the forest. Guess what? That's a belief as a young girl she believed. Today, I know I can have her permission. Somebody believes otherwise. She's empowering her community. It began with her. Then you go to society, go to the family and say, hey, what you believe that I bring wealth is not true. I'll cite another example in Eastern Uganda. Statistics show that it's the poorest part of this country. I will use really Eastern because there is statistics to that. And we have a myth that people have believed, people with albinism give wealth. And unfortunately, they're so poor.
So if everyone wants us, let's say, well,
exactly. Wow. Now a story is told of one young girl whose uncle came and said, give me a piece of your hair. Because maybe these things can exist.
wow.
They exist and we must talk about them. They must stop. I applaud her. And this is the power that we have given these people. Speak about what you hear. So here the uncle is a close relative and says, give me a piece of your hair. We'll mix it and I get rich because they're evidently very poor. The girl accepts, they cut her hair, and the uncle does whatever they wanted to do. 1 year down the road, nothing has changed. So she's bold enough to ask the uncle and say, hey, Ben,
I need some of that.
and he's like, my girl, we were deceived. Now that is for me a story that needs to run BBC to Al Jazeera to everywhere. It will have a means. But yes, this is someone who's been empowered to speak. You're speaking to family. Now that story can change a life. That uncle can no longer believe that Olive's hair will make them rich. They have tried it. You watching me today, you work hard, you get the money. So for me, media is our parents. So what is that you have believed? Bana was talking about our education system. We've pushed parents to have learners with albinism in school. Guess what? When they get there, the students are welcoming. Some, I should say, but it's interesting that young children don't know how to discriminate.
True.
And
As an adult,
thank you. Well, dads told them that don't play with that part. So for them, they embrace it as a child. Like, man, being all they see, you have everything, Let's play. Until the parents, the teacher, because there's some teachers were like, oh, I don't want you in my class. As a woman's member, I was checking in some schools actually. Yes, discriminating one of us, you're discriminating an entire country. Okay. Today, I would want even to talk to some teachers, especially private. They feel you have the license, you've done all that the ministry requires, and we choose who to admit and who not. That is wrong. That is wrong. We'll come for you. One, in peace to empower you that we are fully human. We have a right to education, which is certainly denied each time. So the empowerment goes a long way from, media can do all, that we have to get to the community. What is your role? Someone watching us today, you have a role to play in this to change the narrative. We are not subject, we are not victims, that we have strength, there is power, and yes, we can.
Oh, that's truly powerful. And thank you for sharing, Olik, because I feel like the barriers that we have, the levels that we have to break to actually feel like everyone has the right, for everyone to feel that they're included in this country that everyone deserves to live in. There's so many. And truly, the brain is important. The home is important. The community is important. The systems are quite important. And this takes me to another question. With all our systems and everything we've done, how can you advise a young girl living with a disability that has seen you and they would want to step into leadership, they would want to step into advocacy and do something that Beautiful Mabel is doing, Merab is doing? What advice can you give a young girl out there?
Thank you so much. Lived experiences are very interesting. As a young girl with disability, I smile at that girl in the first place because they rarely smile. They rarely smile because of all the burden they carry as girls, as children with disabilities, because of the stigma, because of the discrimination. But they shouldn't lose hope. First, since they've managed to break the barriers to where they are, let them use the lived experience to inform their intended objective, their ultimate goal of achieving. Let them have a dream. Whatever is happening to them is something that is building their confidence and resilience. It's only the resilient young woman or young girl with disability that will break through. My experience is that I grew up with boys, 6 of them, and a girl, and I have a disability. You can imagine how you have to be resilient enough to break through the ceiling and be able to also attain equal treatment at home, equal support and everything. But I'm lucky my mother was so supportive, my dad was supportive, because if my parents were not supportive, I wouldn't be seated here talking to everyone listening to me. So what am I saying? Parents, I'm here to request kindly support that young girl. Believe in her. She's as important and actually more important than everyone. She can achieve everything the way I've achieved. She can do a lot with herself. But while you're young with disability, we have many opportunities. Look out for people who can support you. Ask, go and inquire. There is a lot that is happening. There are many opportunities that are available. But because we don't have access to information as girls with disability, that stops us from achieving what we have to achieve. Yeah. The other thing is about education. We have many opportunities. Government has put education opportunities at the university. I'm happy to let you know that the 10 girls that I managed to support since 2021 from S1 had their O-level. The third batch had their O-level last year. The first batch would have been in S6 and S5, but because of the challenges, they did not come back to school. Yet education is provided for free of charge. What am I saying to the young girl with disability? Go to school. Utilize all the opportunities provided very well, because when you're educated, opportunities are easier to look for. The other thing is, while everything else might not work your way, whenever you get an opportunity to sit, because now development organizations have come up with a practice where they deliberately want young women with disabilities to be a part of their activities. When you take up that space, don't look at someone who speaks a lot to threaten you. It's because I accepted myself, believed in myself, that I managed to contribute a lot to the policy changes in this country. And now we are talking about disability today.
Phenomenal. That is really phenomenal because it's people like you that have actually created the hope that every other girl living with a disability is looking out for. Someone is out there looking for just like a little ray of light that you are struggling to bring up. And so we cannot thank you enough.
But what I know I'd tell you and else say, don't look at your disability. It's always what is within you that matters. Your disability comes as secondary. Whoever is looking at you will never be what you are.
They are not defined by their limits.
There's a colleague who told me that I was too confident, but even in my kind of disability, I would not break down every time I try to hold it. That confidence can be built by you, and because everyone is called it out, stand firm and protect yourself and grow.
It's amazing. It still re-echoes women are not defined by their limits. Rather, they're defined by feasibilities, by leadership like this, by advocacy. So we can't give you thank you enough. And Miriam, I want you to give someone a message, either a parent, a guardian, or a woman living with disability. What message can you leave with them?
Yes, please. Thank you. A message I can leave to, first of all, I will start with the parent having a girl with a disability. Parents should know that these young girls also have dreams like any other person. And it starts with a parent to support them and show them that they are valued and give them some love. Because I personally, if it wasn't for my parents, the courage and the strength and the love they gave me, I couldn't make it to my career, make it in high school and primary, because all the time I could face challenges, the stigma, the discrimination. I could remember that at home my parents really love me and they support me, and they believe in me that whatever I'm doing, I will achieve it. So to every parent, love the child, support them, and show them that they have a brighter future. And then still to the parents, let a child join schools that are inclusive. Don't take a child to a school that it is specifically for persons with disabilities. Joining others, it will give them that courage and confidence to know that I can face the world, I can face everyone, and they know how to live with everyone. And to the community, the community should believe and support persons with disabilities. It's not being sympathetic, sympathizing with how they look like, how they walk. It's all about giving them the courage and show them that they are equal with others. They are doing what others are doing, not putting them on a side because they are disturbing them or they are making them feel pain. They can also achieve it by giving them the reasonable accommodation and giving them the accessibility and the needs, the special needs they need to achieve their dreams. Yeah, that's all I have.
It takes me to one, like responsibility is for us all to ensure that the future we want, we create it now. And while we are at it, let us make sure that it is as inclusive as possible for it, in policy making, as families, as communities, all the things that we are doing. Is it really making or preaching inclusivity? So it is important. And only if you are given a chance to influence a policy, to empower a woman living with albinism or to protect a child living with albinism, what would it be?
Looking to my policymakers that may be watching us today, for persons with albinism, one important policy among many is health.
Wow.
Health. And for us, let me address the entire ministry. We would want the essential medicine list to include sunscreens. So if we have a policy, One Health Organization has already done that, as is a way at that global level. May Ministry of Health look at sunscreens as an essential drug. I always equate it to ARVs for persons living with HIV/AIDS. I'll forever need a sunscreen to protect me. We're in this beautiful country called Uganda, and it lies on the equator, where it can rain in the morning, in the evening, the sun is out. So I need to enjoy that young woman out there who wants to go to the beach, who wants to be out with friends. I can't do that ably. The cancer will be coming, crawling in. So for me, everything else rotates around that health. So I would change that policy and say, hey, may we include sunscreens on the essential drug list? That is one. And imploring us to implement it. It being there, may then the National Drug Authority procure it and we distribute it for all others and for women today. You know, sunscreens are not just for people with albinism. We all need it here for your information. We all need it. We are here facing the global warming, climate change and all this. Guys watching us, please, you all need sunscreens. I need it more, but you too need it. That would be my policy.
Wow. And I think I would also use it because sometimes it gets too hot and you get darker. So I really appreciate what you have done under the albinism umbrella. Thank you so much for your input. Thank you so much in your leadership skills as you're trying to create policies and put all these things on the table to talk for the voiceless, because your voice truly matters. I cannot thank you enough, Neil, for what you have done. Thank you so much for being a voice and for being a physical presence that is going to empower a young girl living with disability. And today we have had the opportunity to listen to voices that have reminded us that true empowerment starts with the mind, then builds in our communities, our families, and into policy making. And today, when mental health is protected, systems are put in place, there's inclusion. And when our communities choose dignity over stigma, women living with disabilities are not just supported, but they are empowered to lead, to influence, and to be who they are meant to be. And that is only made possible by wonderful companies, by wonderful bodies that have decided to support women living with disabilities and people living with disabilities. We cannot stop but appreciate Suella Mental Health Services, a core mental health services company that has devoted themselves to create awareness, to bridge the gap between therapy and our communities. We cannot forget to thank DESANS, Albinism Umbrella, Lamicare, Deaf Action Uganda, NOUDU, the Uganda Federation of the Hard of Hearing, and the Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus Association of Uganda. And those have been our wonderful partners that have constantly helped in creating the advocacy, the inclusion, and the support that they have put in our services and community systems that have helped to empower people living with disabilities and to have conversations just like this and put them into real change in people's lives has created so much change. So we cannot stop but appreciate our dear partners. Because of these partnerships, we are not only discussing barriers, but we are dismantling them practically. Let us live here today remembering that inclusion is not an act of charity. It is a commitment to dignity and to humanity. Together, let us move together to a world beyond limits and creating a future that is comfortable for everyone. Thank you very much.